Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. Welcome to another edition of Homie Picks. It is me, it is Ben, it is Lou. Fellas, what it do? How y'all feeling?
Feeling good after week one, 4-1. How you feeling back?
I, I, I mean,
You
I
know,
was
okay.
just gonna say, I can't say I feel as good as Lou because my picks were horrible. They didn't work out as the way I wanted them to.
I feel good, after 1 week of football. Me and Lou had, 4-1 records. Unfortunately my loss came to my home team, but it is what it is. I think we're gonna have a really good bounce back day today. For against the Raiders. I think that's a great second. That's a great second team to face. So especially with that 8 point spread, that's going to be beautiful. Um, but we did have an episode on Word Music Dance. We were featured on Word Music Dance, episode 140, I believe, which is out now. We talked about a lot of things. We talked about, getting back into the rhythm of things, sports. It was a good conversation. Um, a couple things that, I'm not going to spoil it for everybody who needs to watch the episode, watch that. But a couple things we didn't really talk about. We'll we'll get that out the way now. And then move into week two. Things from week one. Uh, the before we get into the Sunday festivities of how we started, how we started week one Sunday Sunday games. Let's go back to Brazil. Do y'all think it was a successful game? Do y'all think that that it was what the NFL was trying to present? Um, Wins, losses to that. Like Lou, I see you shake your head. No. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the field conditions were horrible. I think if we're gonna put a product out there, especially in another country where we know we're going there, bring some good field. Like, I mean, you got Jordan Love got injured at the end of that game. That's the last thing Green Bay needed to deal with. I'm surprised there weren't more injuries. I mean, just a matter of the players switching out cleats and attachments mid game is crazy to me for the NFL level. I get it; they want to push the game overseas, but field conditions matter, especially if you're going to somewhere in Brazil where it's humid and moisture and that grass just it wasn't conducive to playing football. So luckily, I mean, it wasn't a tear of his knee. Um, I'm glad more, there weren't many more injuries in that game. I would love to see it. Just figure it out. Figure it out. I mean, you have time. These schedules are done a year in advance, so just get the ground right.
Yeah, so I think from an NFL perspective, I think that succeeded. I mean, the stadium looked lively enough and whatnot. Field conditions aside and all that, the game was still pretty good to watch. I mean, it was entertaining at least. It wasn't a dud. Um, Saquon went crazy, so at least showed him something fun out there. But yeah, I think they're a little bit. It seemed like a little bit of lack of preparation with some things. Like they just weren't fully prepared for what they encountered there at field level. And I mean, it's difficult to get these teams out into another part of the world because they have so many people that they bring with them, so much equipment. So I think logistically they probably could have done a little bit better job and whatnot. But I mean, overall, I mean, in sense of entertainment, I think they pulled off what they wanted to do.
For me, I think I'm between both of y'all's thoughts into that one. It wasn't a total loss, and it wasn't total loss, and it wasn't a total win either. But um, Saquon definitely went off. He gave the people some excitement. Showing what American football is compared to football. Is um, I did suck with Jordan Love getting hurt, and honestly, that kind of thing could have happened anywhere. But it sucks that it had to happen there. Um, One thing about, and I think that's kind of one of the pushes for, or one of the talks about, trying to push for real grass and real turf, in the NFL. is the fact that we have so many different turfs out here in the NFL and our stadiums compared to international stadiums. Um, and so getting used to that kind of field, and even that kind of field is not the same kind of field you would play um, Brazil's national team in. It's like this not the same kind of. So even with that, even with real grass, you have like different conditions with that. Um, so I think just it's always going to be some kind of trick when it comes to playing against artificial turf or the turf you're used to running on in your own in these 30 stadiums that we have here, well 29 stadiums since LA shares the same stadium. But I think it's an unfortunate thing. I think viewership is cool. You're getting because you've done Germany games, you've done English games. Now you're doing Brazil. So, you're doing in spots where football, as we call soccer, is king, prevalent, and you're trying to branch out. So I think, again, that kind of exposure is cool. It just does suck that it has to happen where people get hurt and it's due to field conditions.
Yeah.
Um, maybe if more teams get more time on like real turf or real grass, stuff like that, maybe things can be minimized from that. But I don't see it happening anytime soon. Like NFL's very has been always been particular about stuff, um and I think only stadiums where they want to pitch Olympic games is the only ones that's even considering doing like that kind of like real that real grass kind of thing. So
See, the crazy thing to me is the only place we haven't had a game and we should have a game is Canada. That one makes the most sense. They've been preaching for the longest to get a team up in Canada. You haven't tested it yet? Like it's mind boggling me. And they have football stadiums.
they do. They
So
do. I wonder if there's some agreement between CFL and NFL where they're like, nah, nigga, get that shit out of here.
I'm still like,
I,
we're talking about putting the Jaguars in London for a
Right.
whole. Like, are you shitting me here? Like, Canada's right there. Just put Buffalo there. They're right there anyway.
Buffalo is Toronto. They are the Toronto
basically.
Bills. They, they are the Toronto Bills.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, well, speaking of putting somebody somewhere else, looks like some officer was trying to put Tyreek Hill in the back of a cruiser because that also happened Sunday where Tyreek Hill, if anybody somehow somebody missed that, I don't know how, but Tyreek Hill was arrested on game day and was let out and had a hell of a celebration after a touchdown. Um, you know, and it wasn't, and found out it wasn't just him that got arrested. Calais Campbell got put in cuffs. Long term, a long time Baltimore Raven, went Dolphin. Um, he went try to minimize the situation, try to bring peace to it, and they said, "Not get your ass in the cuffs too." And if there was a third one, I forgot his name right now. Maybe I can remember, but the third one that was also there, and he didn't get cuffed up, but he almost got cuffed up, and it's a ridiculous situation. As of now, uh, well, from that point until the Homie Picks episode, um, the cop was, the cop was just reprimanded. And since then, I believe Tariq Hill did apologize for his conduct to escalate the situation. But then also the officer is now suspended again. And I say again because there's been reports that he's had 6 different suspensions now for force. So
You don't say.
yeah, so it's been a long week, and we even get to and that was before the Bills and Dolphins game on Thursday night. What were your thoughts on that whirlwind of Tariq? Ben?
Yes, so it's just obviously could Tariq have done a little bit better? Obviously, of course, But at the same time, he wasn't there was no threat to the officer's life or anything like that. He was just being rude to him. But, usually what happens with people in authority, particularly like that kind of authority, it gets to their head and they don't want to be disrespected and blah, 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 and they do what they do. And usually it's all, heavy-handed stuff. Like that was so unnecessary to pull him, drag him out the car, whatever. Just give him the fine, keep it moving. Like it wasn't that serious, but I mean, that's just the world we live in, unfortunately. Like, a lot of people in authority just take advantage of that power because they love it. I mean, I feel like a lot of the times, I'm gonna say half the people that go into those line of fields, it's not necessarily because they want to serve and protect, it's just because they would like that authority. So, you have to deal with the good and the bad with it. But yeah, definitely overreaction. Like that was so unnecessary. Now, obviously, this is not the first time for that officer doing those kinds of things. So, it's obviously he has that little bit of a power trip thing going with him. So yeah, I mean, like, give some psych evaluation, maybe put him in some desk duty. I mean, you hate to see somebody lose their job, but at the same time, you're an officer, you're supposed to serve and protect, you're supposed to de-escalate, not escalate stuff. So that's just how I see it.
Yeah, agreed there. It's kind of like a little bit of a god complex that the cop thought he was untouchable. First thing I said is like, you got to know your audience. Like you, you see a expensive car. Rule of thumb would have been like that has to be a player. Now, if you act out of pocket, there would have been consequences. Like there was no way the media wasn't going to see this. I mean, the caliber of the player that he actually went after, like you went after Tyreek Hill. Like know your audience, like know your limits. I mean, I'm all for like if you want to have that power trip, but there's a time and place for it, and that was no other time, no other place. Especially if you know your own track record, like just be smart about it. Did Tyreek push him? Probably, because we all know wide receivers are divas. That's just how they are. Um, it looks like a big black eye for that officer. Like Ben said, I don't know wish ill on no one, but you got to know your surroundings. Like there's a time you can maybe after the game push up on him, but not before the game because everyone's looking. Um, it's just a bad optic for the cops, and it does shine away from the cops to actually do their job in the respectful and protective manner that they go about it. I know plenty of cops who would never do some shit like that just because that's not their nature. But you do have those ones, like Ben said, that have this power trip, that the sense of entitlement and authority. And unfortunately, the cop fucked around and found out the hard way.
You know, it's something I think we said in a group chat, and it's not the same thing, but I'm using it in the same vein. You know how you could always tell why somebody's a cornerback and not a wide receiver. Because they can't catch. It's like that with some of these cops. It's like you can tell they weren't going to be a good criminal, so they just try to do a badge to it. Like that's really what it is. Like and they're bad at there, and those are the bad ones that have a poor reflection of everybody else. Um, it's unfortunate that it did happen. I'm pretty sure NFL players, any kind of athlete, are high energy people. Like if you work so hard to get to this craft to this level, you are some mostly high strung persons, like, and then you're getting stopped, especially leaving your practice facility. You're not even wound down yet, so you still got the energy pumping at that time. Um,
Bro, he was going to work. He was a block away for his first day of
yeah,
work.
block away.
You know what I
You're
mean?
ready for game day. It's week one, it's game day. You're ready. Your energy is high. And I'm pretty sure like that's just the last thing you want to do, is get stopped by, police. And maybe speeding, well, of course, speeding is, something that can be reckless. Cool. You know, as Ben said, give him the fine. Um, but there's no way that you don't arrest Tyreek Hill and don't know who he is in that city.
Right.
There's no way. I mean, mostly football players have a fairly anonymous face. Like basketball players are more visible. So for football players can be hidden under that mask. there's no way you don't know who Tyreek Hill is. Same way how you don't know you say you don't know Tua. There are big names, you just happen to know their face. Tyreek is very distinguishable
Right.
above them all. So there's no way that you don't do that and think that nothing's gonna happen, especially on that day. I'm not saying, give the man an escort to the, say you're rushing to the field, let's give an escort. Tell him, yo, slow down. You know, have a good game, slow down. Here's a ticket, keep it moving. But it's a black guy. You know, everybody says it. There's the difference between a criminal and a cop is a badge. And some of these cops, have criminal, intentions. And I'm not saying that might have been his thing to have a criminal intention, because luckily, like Tyreek did say, it could have happened to anybody. And if he wasn't Tyreek Hill, what would have happened in that moment? So it's thankful that he is who he is, that he has notoriety to not have something that horrific like other incidents, go south like that. But I'm glad everything worked out to where it's working out for. And if anything changes on that situation, we'll let y'all know. But uh look like Tyreek was handcuffed twice in 1 week because hell, the Bills handcuffed the shit out of Miami on Thursday. That was rough.
I was
Uh,
not surprised though, because the Bills typically have kept them to like 50 yards or under in every game they've played. So
that was rough. That was rough. Tua sucks, but anyway, thoughts of the game, Lou?
He's a Hawaiian Daniel Jones. So I heard for that. And I laughed, I cried, and I think I cried more than I laughed because I was like, I agree. Like I know that pain. Yeah, I mean, we said in our group chat like these Thursday games are probably going to be non talked about on the show and spread level because they're just Thursday games, man. They're horrible. I couldn't watch it after a while, even when it was close. Like it was a really boring game for two teams. You would have thought it would have been like I think the over and under was like 51. I think they didn't even hit that. Crazy. Um, yeah,
And that's with Buffalo scoring all the points.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
basically.
mean, the most ironic part was Hamlin causing Tua to have another concussion. This guy literally died on the field 2 years ago, uh, and he now took out Tua. It's just that circle of life. Came right back. And I didn't even think it was a hard hit, but you can tell.
Yeah, it
You know,
wasn't.
he was a little loose. Does he come back from this? I don't know. I mean, Miami, I don't even know who their backup is. I know they had Mike White last year, the Jets' hope, but he got cut. So I don't know. These games are ugly, just ugly, ugly. Um, Josh Allen really didn't show me anything. I mean, he did enough. But yeah, I wasn't impressed with this Thursday's game at all. Snooze fest.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, I it came down to like how I thought it was gonna be. Just Buffalo defense bottles up Tua because he is not the strongest arm quarterback. As you saw when he tried to get rid of the ball to the sideline, instead he threw an interception because he just lobbed it up. He just doesn't have that arm strength. And I mean, I know the Bills lost a lot of defensive pieces and whatnot, but McDermott does is a pretty good defensive coach, so he always gets pretty good work out of whoever
On
he has in there.
game, Grandpa Miller got a sack in that game.
Yeah, and so I was not surprised. A little surprised that Allen didn't do much, but I guess he didn't have to. The run game was just dominating, so good for him because he has an injured hand, so that helps him get rested. Sucked for me because I thought he was gonna at least run it a couple of times. But I mean the game it's just usual Miami Buffalo game. Like they always smack them. Miami just can't seem to find a way to beat them, so I was not shocked at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my very short and simple. Tua sucks, and
He
and
got
that
paid, bro.
hit. Look, who was the backup? Skylar
Skylar
Thompson,
Thompson,
Guys,
yeah.
Skylar. I almost called him Skylar Diggins, man. Like it doesn't matter what his name is, man. Get that dude out of here too. Yeah, I mean they did hurt my same game parlay, so that is what that is on that one. Um, but yeah, my Buffalo didn't need to do much on offense to take
No.
care of that and still score over 30 points. That's saying something. Um, you know, our chain did a nice job on Miami running the ball. At least there was one positive side of Miami. But um, yeah, that hit from DeMar Hamlin, which is funny that DeMar was on death's door, and is the person injuring somebody. Honestly, and I said that is because that was the drive after Tua threw that other pick six. I said, "Oh, Tua was trying to hurt himself to get out of here. He knew he sucked and he needed to get the fuck out that game. So he made sure he was going to hurt himself. And it was just what it was. I saw that coming. I saw a concussion. Then they said he had a leg injury, but then it said concussion after that. So I was like, yeah, I knew what it was. Like Tua knew it was third quarter too. Bro knew he had to get out the game because this was not going to go well. So he had to get himself out that game early. So I knew that was coming. But next week may not even be any better. It's going to be Jets and Patriots, and good luck to anybody wanting to bet on that one. But as for us this week, for this week too, before you get to week three, you got to get to week two. So first game is Tampa at Detroit. The Red Hot Lions currently are a 7.5 point favorite against Tampa Bay at home. Uh, Ben, I'm gonna give you a chance to get a good pick right now. Who you thinking, man?
Oh man, because of that line, the 7.5, I'd probably take that 7.5 with Tampa. But I do think that Detroit probably wins the game, but that 7.5 is just too good to like pass by. Like, because you have to think about it. Detroit, they played a very good game, but they played a very beat up Rams team that was losing players left and right, and they still had to end up going overtime. Tampa does have a good defense. Baker was cooking. The Bake Show was on. Well, I think he had 3 touchdowns last week. They have good players. They have good players. The run game's still a little bit sus in Tampa Bay, but Detroit, like I said, I think big overtime game, a lot of emotions. I think there's gonna be a little bit of a letdown. I still feel like they're gonna win. Detroit should win the game, but if you're betting this, I'd take Tampa Bay. Those points, don't let the points go. But yeah, the Lions probably win this one. Probably a close game by 3.
yeah, I'm taking Detroit. I said at the beginning of our first show, I like Detroit a lot. But Tampa Bay, I mean, the line that jumps out at me is the over or under 51 and a half. I think they definitely go over 51 and a half the way these two offenses go. Um, Detroit's defense doesn't really scare anyone, I think. I think Detroit's best way to win is outscore somebody. So I take Detroit Lions in here, and I think it's going to be less than 7.5 that they win by. So I would take the negative 7.5 on this one because I think it's going to be a close game, but it's going to be a high scoring
Yeah, I definitely I'm leaning Detroit to win. Um, I'm kind of also on Ben's wagon about I don't know if Detroit's going to cover that 7.5. I think they may just get 7. Like I can see it being 42-35. And that's going to be 7 right there, which is going to hurt for anybody who would have bet that half point on that one. But even with that, I definitely say that thing going over 51. Like it may be over 51 before halftime. Um, like they can score. Both of these teams can score. Dome conditions, makes it even better. Doesn't it doesn't it's not going to affect trajectory of how the ball's played. So like Baker was cooking, and People were giving him the credit that they were due, and um, saying he's a leader and all this good stuff. So, at least he's having a good uh second half of his career. At least that's going well for him. I just think that Detroit is a buzzsaw though. Like Detroit is a hot team. Um, it the game against the game against the Rams, is one thing, but Erica says week one energy is running high. Everybody's kind of like frantic. Now you're settling more in, to your schemes and so forth. So I think Detroit's going to hold fort at home, and that should be a high scoring affair. But I think Detroit pulls that one out. Um, Lou, your Giants against the Red Commanders. So I'm not going to say Redskins and I'm not going to say Commanders. Against the Red Commanders. Um, 1.5 point difference. That's Jesus Christ. They really think they even Vegas says the Giants are going to win a damn game. I'm letting you know that right now.
There's a chance.
But before we get your pick on on that game, Ben, how do you see this one going?
Yeah, like you said, that line is basically like they're like, oh, that
Yeah,
team won.
yeah.
That team won. But yeah, I mean it's gonna be an interesting game just because it's a division game, so they should play tough. I feel like I'm gonna go here with the upset. I think the Giants are gonna win here. I think this is a good shot for them to win here. I think their defense got embarrassed last week, so I think they'll play definitely tougher this week. And you're facing a rookie quarterback. He had the happy feet when I was watching his game, so like he was making read one, read two, I gotta run. So if continues that trend, I think the Giants have a decent pass rush. They should get some sacks and whatnot, some decent pressure. Um, the biggest question mark is like always Danny Dimes. Um, he can look average or he can look mediocre, below average. So we'll see which one we get. If he can just protect the ball, no pick sixes, throw it to the right jerseys this time around. I think it's probably going to be just a bunch of field goals in this game. But I think the Giants squeak a win out of this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the home team. I'm gonna keep lose hope alive from getting number one pick alive. I see Washington pulling this one out. That line is crazy. 1.5, like it's really pickle. But I would definitely go under 43.5 too for that over under.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Both of these teams ain't scoring, but I will definitely even as a small tidbit as one giant hope. I do see Malik was it neighbors.
Neighbors.
I see him getting 2 touchdowns, and that might be the only 2 touchdowns that the Giants have.
That's
I,
generous,
it,
man.
so I see it being a 17-14 game. Washington pulls this one out. I can't tell you anything about any of these two teams. I think they both are trash, but I do think Washington at home um, does have more. They're both trash, man. Who knows? It could be a 7-3 game. Well, I fucking know. It's gonna be trash. Yeah, Washington. I like Washington at home. That's what I was gonna go with my gun on that one. Lou, your team. Give them some hope, man.
There's no hope. There's no hope. There's no hope. Listen. Daniel Jones looked horrible. Looked horrible. Now you got him going against a rookie quarterback who played okay his first week, but I'm telling you, I don't think there's a team in the NFL that's not licking their chops when you see the Giants on the schedule, because that is your pad your stats game. That's your coming out party. Um, I don't think we score another touchdown this week. I don't see it. As good as Elite Neighbors is on paper, like he was giving credit to Jaden Daniels last week after they lost. Like, did you know you face him next week? Like, how you giving props to the man? Granted, I know y'all was teammates in LSU, but You can't be giving him props not in the NFL. And you pay him the next week. Yeah, I don't see this 1.5. It don't matter. We lost. It's gonna be some new way the Giants are gonna find to lose. I guarantee you, it's gonna be some new way we have yet to see in the NFL the way the Giants lose. So get your popcorn ready. Yeah, Washington. Washington. That's it.
We know where the mute button is. Can't find my mute button. I want to laugh so bad.
Washington wins.
Shit. Shit. I'm so, holy shit. Yeah, okay. So thank you for that candor.
Washington wins.
So game three is gonna be a nice. This was a rematch of an AFC Championship game 2022, 21, 22. Cincinnati and KC. I forgot what year that was now. I feel like it was 2021.
It's
But
been a
anyway,
minute.
It was 21 because KC won 22 and 23.
there you go. So yeah, 20. So it's a rematch of that. Unfortunately, Cincinnati's not as good as it used to be, but Cincinnati, KC, as it is right now, KC is a 5.5 point favorite, negative 260 as money line. I see this going. Bengals looked trash last week. Um, but the last time, if I remember correctly, there was a time when Cincinnati looked bad one week and faced KC another and then beat KC. So I am wary on that. I think Cincinnati, seeing a Super Bowl, they're seeing Super Bowl, contending champs. We're seeing the Super Bowl champs and possibly a possible three-peat looming. I think Cincinnati it has to bring the A game. Um, what also hurt from that 21 game to now is contractual stuff. So, I think that's gonna play into this also. So I think KC, while I still don't feel that they're as good as the name Super Bowl champ is, um, I'm still going to lean towards KC being the winner of this game, but I do think Cincinnati makes a game out of it. I think they do cover that five. I think KC won't cover the 5.5 points. I think Cincinnati probably loses by a toe. I mean, by a field goal. So uh, I had to think my Ravens on that one. But Lou, how do you see it going?
Yeah, Cincy looked horrible last week. I mean, they struggled mightily. I think they were the last team to score in week one, like to actually put points on the board. Um, I don't know. This might be a wake up game for them, but uh, the X factor for me is Xavier Worthy. Like he looks like Tyreek Hill 2.0. And he's going to be a force to reckon with that KC team. But I'm going to roll Pat Mahomes on this one. Uh, they say that Joe Burrow had Pat Mahomes' number. I don't think that's true. So I think Pat's going to continue to just probably dominate this week coming up, and definitely covering that 5.5. It's going to come down to which offense is on the field more, and I think KC's going to be on the field way more than the Cincinnati Bengals defense offense.
Really?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I see KC winning this game. Cincinnati is notoriously for starting off slow. So it's week two, week one, they couldn't put any up points. Some people even say maybe Burrow's wrist is still a factor because they seen him on the sidelines, moving it around, grimacing with it. So maybe he's not 100% still. But yeah, I feel like when the Bengals play KC, the Bengals fans just keep on reminding themselves of that one time they beat them in Arrowhead, and they're living off that, and they feel like they really are a better team there. But I feel like probably KC's getting tired of hearing that. I think they're gonna try and give them just smack them down. I think it might be a blowout. I see KC winning this one.
All right. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting game with Cincinnati and KC. I think it's always an interesting game. Of course, I have invested interest because I need Cincinnati to lose. I need all the AFC North teams to lose. Browns, Pittsburgh, which we're not even going to talk about that game, but I hope they get blown out in Denver. All the good stuff. um, Game 4 is a very interesting game. Um, the team that when we last had homie picks, it was the team that I picked to be the NFC, the AFC North champs.
I remember that.
Oh, I would never be let down on that one. I would never be. I'm always reminded about that one.
You're like, Justin Fields is the man. He's gonna just elevate them. They're gonna be the new Super Bowl champions. The man can't
Boy,
throw
was
up
I
for a lick.
what the fuck was I smoking? So Chicago versus Houston, the battle of the young gun quarterbacks. Caleb versus CJ. Um, as it currently stands right now, Houston is a 6.5 point favorite, minus 295 to win money line. Um, what are we thinking about this game, Ben?
Uh, Freaking Texans. Division rivals. CJ's looking good. CJ's looking good. Obviously it was against my defense, which sucked, but yeah, he's basically picking off where he left off. So I see he's doing good things. Last week Mixon looked like he was Pro Bowler again. We'll see if he comes back to reality this week. Um, and the Bears, I mean, they couldn't get a touchdown, but yet somehow they won that game. Defense won that game for them against Tennessee. So I really do like the Bears defense a lot. I feel like they have a strong defense which can probably contain the Texans a little bit, but I would still have to pick, CJ and team to win this one. I don't see them covering the 6.5 though. I think it will be a tighter game because that Chicago defense is much better. As much as I like Caleb, he's still a rookie. He's still learning. You can still a lot of rookie tendencies showed up in that first game, so he still has to learn. So I don't see him like going for shot by shot trying to do a shootout with CJ. He's just not going to be able to keep up with that. And I think CJ is going to be able to slowly pick apart that defense in the back end. Like I said, I think CJ wins. They're going to rely on the run again, but it will just be close. I don't think they'll cover the 6.5, but I take the Texans.
Oh yeah, so yeah, no, I picked CJ to take his team to the Super Bowl. Um, I got the Texans versus Detroit in there, and I said it. I mean, the guy's gonna he's last season with D'Amico Ryan. I think was the best thing that could happen to him. Um, but a former player, someone who's been in the trenches, right along with him, and they can grow up together. And it's paying dividends. Uh, at the Bears got to figure it out. At some point, they got to get something right. Hopefully, Caleb can be the the foundation to that. But yeah, I'm rolling with CJ. I mean, he has weapons now. I forgot that Stephon Diggs was even on that team for a second. The way Joe Mixon was running, and then he had Nico Collins over the top as well. Like he has weapons, and we didn't really see CJ run much last week, and that's probably one of his better assets he has is his legs, where he can run for 10 to 15 yards easily. Yeah, I like the Texans. I think this might be one of the better teams in the NFL that no one's really talking about yet. I think they have the fifth best Super Bowl odds right now, but I'm picking them to. And their schedule is going to be pretty light. They hit a rough patch in the middle of that schedule where they pay, I think, they pay the Chiefs, Baltimore, and then someone else another week after that. But right now, the beginning, it's a cupcake schedule, so I predict for them to continue to abuse the schedule and keep piling on those wins.
You know, who would have thought that this game would have came in and you would have heard that both teams are 1-0. Um, so, but Chicago does have a tough test. I think defensively alone, Houston is going to outmatch them, um, which is not going to be good for a rookie quarterback. Even last year when CJ was a rookie, you know, as a rookie, he was lighting that shit up against good competition at that too. So Caleb has the potential to do the same thing, but it's not that lightning strikes in a bottle every year with rookies, and hitting these massive peaks, early. I think the system that CJ was in and then the schemes that was going on was just helped him excel. And now you add, a more hungry Stephon Diggs who feels disrespected that, I mean, for a star wideout to go on the three teams, it's kind of crazy. That's kind of more, but that's usually how you see like maybe a one team swap or something like that. But three teams, I know Stephon's hungry for respect more than anything. And then plus he's trying to get to that he's trying to get to a wideout record, I believe. He even say he's trying to go for records. So with that being said, sorry Bears, you're gonna have to be on the chopping block on this one. Yeah, I think the Bears are going to be a decent team. I think with Jordan Love being injured, the Bears have potential to surpass Green Bay this year. Nobody's surpassing Detroit this year in that division. That's just
Yeah,
let's just keep that very clear. But I think in terms of pecking order, it could very much well be Detroit, Chicago, Green Bay, and then Minnesota. I really don't have that much high hope in Minnesota. Um,
Well, Minnesota plays the Giants every week. They're good.
if the Vikings can play the Giants 16 straight games, then and Minnesota Vikings are going to the Super Bowl. But well, they go to the first round and they're going to get beat after that because they're going to get exposed. But I don't think Minnesota's still that good of a team. But it seems everybody brings their A game against the Giants because they know how good the Giants are. They can't take them lightly. But but no, I think Chicago's going to be a good team. I think Caleb's going to grow, excel. I think he's going to give Chicago fans something to be excited for,
just
which
not
is
this week,
crazy
bro.
because
Just not this week.
just not this week, exactly. Just not this week. And it's sad to say that because you just had a young quarterback in Justin Fields. So, it's not like you went from an old grizzle veteran like Jake Plummer and then went to young youth like Justin Fields or Caleb Williams. You went from young to young. So it's something's got to break, and maybe Caleb is the answer for Chicago going forward. We'll probably find out by December to see where they are, checking with them at that point. But I guess Houston, that's a hell of a ask. Like
Yeah.
that's a
Particularly, I think they're missing two wide receivers this week as well, the Bears. I think what's his name? Dunze's hurt, and so is Keenan Allen. So down two weapons on outside. Yeah, it's gonna be tough for them.
not gonna be any easier. Um, Also on a side personal note, good friend of the show, the president, Tyrone, uh, Super Bears fan, lost his aunt, so I want to give a special shout out to him. Prayers going out to you and the family. I know you're a loyal fan and loyal Bears fan as well. So I want to give you, props and love where it's due, in that one. Um, but moving on to the last game that we have scheduled, it is the Tennessee Lightning Lightning Titans versus the old grumpy grizzled veteran. How did you say it, Ben? What was Rogers?
I don't even
The
remember now.
Well, well, well,
old
Mediocre, average.
mediocre, average,
okay.
grumpy old man,
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers, and the New York Jets. And I believe in the group chat, Paul pulled up the what was it the top five performers, quarterbacks, and who was number five? Aaron freaking Rodgers.
yeah. I saw it. I saw it again.
That's so average.
it's a
It's the
week
eye
one
test.
stat because
Eye
remember
test.
because I believe Darnold was number one in that list. So come on.
He played the Giants. He better be number.
I get it
I'm
though,
just
Ben. It's the
saying.
eye test.
Yeah,
I
it's
get it.
just
It's the
the
eye test.
just the eye
I got
test.
it. I get it. He didn't pass it. He didn't pass your eye test. I get it.
Not yet,
Um,
not yet. Like
but
he could get better, maybe. We'll see. But week one, he was trash. I just call it
he
what I saw.
was. He was. But hey, we'll see what happens against these Titans, though. So right now, Jets are a 3.5 point favorite, which is weird. They're a 3.5 point favorite, especially going they're a 7 point favorite against the Patriots, who
It's because they're
won last.
playing Mayo Man. That's why.
I guess so. But 3.5 point favorite. It's really not that much of a money line thing either. Negative 198. And a 41.5 point over under. Uh, Lou, being that you had to go last for the other New York team, which was your New York team, how about you going first on this one? How do you see this one faring out?
Yeah, the line's funny. That's one of those Vegas might know something we don't know yet. So look out for Sunday morning as you're watching this to see if there's any newfound injuries that pop up for this game. Um, I like the Jets in this. I think them playing San Francisco and them getting their ass kicked the way they got their ass kicked was an eye opener. That it's not going to be a cupcake season for them just because you have Aaron Rodgers. You're going to have to put in that work. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be needs to be on the field more than 5 goddamn minutes. Because like every time I looked at that game, he was on the sidelines, and the defense was just out there running laps. So I think this is a good game for them. Tennessee's still young, still trying to figure things out. Will Levis looked completely vulnerable. He threw up some
He
God,
reminded me of what's his name? Carson Wentz, bro.
yeah, oh my God. It was like he was just buttercupping stuff up there to the other team. So I think this is going to be a bounce back game, especially for the Jets defenses when they make their presence felt. Aaron Rodgers is going to be Aaron Rodgers. And then I'm expecting Brees Hall to have over 100 yards rushing in this line. So I'm picking the Jets.
Um, I'm I'm I think well, I know in my heart the Jets are going to win this game, but being that except for Ben picking the Commanders, we've basically all picked the
So
same teams.
the
No, I
Jets.
picked the Giants, bro. Don't
He
mix
picked
up my yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You picked the Giants. I'm saying, well, except for you picking the Giants, we've all essentially picked the same people to win. Um, I'm gonna have to be that contrarian then. I'm gonna go Tennessee. But I'm just have to go Tennessee. I have no faith in Tennessee. But I think if they can frustrate Aaron Rodgers enough to where he can't get his spots off, and that's going to go also to receivers not catching. It may never be, you know, how cornerbacks take credit for people not catching shit and it had nothing to do with them at all. This might be one of those things where you just have to rush Rodgers, frustrate him, test their knee. You know, really test that knee. You know, yeah, he's surgically repaired, but he's 40. He could be vulnerable. Um, I don't really like them offensively. I don't like Tennessee offensively. I don't like Tennessee at all. um, you know, and that's just going back from histories of Ravens Titans. You know, those power matches from the McNair days and shit. But I just don't like Tennessee. Thank God we got Derrick Henry. But you know, but hell, this is the kind of game they needed Derrick Henry. Um, but you know, I think if Tennessee could just frustrate and just put pressure on Rodgers, um, you have a shot. Uh, the run game is going to be hard to stop too. To stop both at the same time is going to be a hell of a challenge. You can't because to try to slow down Brees and also try to slow down Rodgers, that's tough. Um, I don't think the Jets are a bad team. I think you just went against a really bad first matchup, which is San Fran. But but yeah, I'm gonna say Tennessee somehow, some way, by God, squeaks this one out. Ben, I know you want Tennessee to lose bad since they're in your division.
Yes, I do. No lie there. Um, yeah, I'm with Lou here. I think the Jets win this one. I'm not like you guys know, I'm not a big Jets fan, but I think Tennessee is that type of team that the Jets can beat. Like I said, they're playing Mayo man Will Levis there. He likes to just chuck the ball when he's falling down for some strange reason instead of protecting the ball. So the Jets, their defense is still pretty good. I'm not gonna say they're a dominant defense, but they're still a good defense. So I feel like they can create some turnovers. Um, I just feel like it's gonna be a low scoring game though. I don't see Rodgers going off by any means. He'll probably get a touchdown, but I don't see them. I would bet the under because it's 41.5. I would definitely bet the under because Tennessee did have a pretty good defense. Granted, it was against a rookie, but their defense was pretty good initially. So they can do some stuff. I was surprised actually at how well their defense held up in some stances. But at the end of the day, I think it's just because of Will Levis, his tendency to make the most like questionable throws in the world. I think that just gives them the edge. It could be interesting if Pollard runs it again well like he did last week. I think he had 100 plus yards. And I mean, the Jets couldn't stop the Niners run game. So, I mean, there's a possibility of an upset there and Tennessee wins it out, like you said. But I just feel like this is one for the Jets to win. Like if they can't win this game, their season's a wrap for me. But yeah, I would take the under and I'll probably take the points with Tennessee because I think it'll be by a field goal. I don't think they'll win by more than that.
It could also be a blowout too.
I don't
You
see a
know,
blowout. I don't see a blowout. I don't see a
uh,
blowout. I'll be shocked if it'll blow up.
I'll be shocked if I'm right that Tennessee wins. But um,
It's possible,
anything is possible, man. Anything is possible.
especially
But
early in the weeks.
oh, shit, right. Um, any one thing we used to do was fantasy picks. But we're not really gonna go like fantasy picks, I think, this time around. Anything that any tidbits, any kind of players or any kind of thing you would expect for this week to happen? I know that was a last second thing. I didn't give y'all time to prepare on that one, but anything
Um,
y'all would predict for this week?
I would say like if you want to take an underdog bet, I would probably take the Patriots over Seattle, just because Seattle's coming from the West Coast, East Coast. Patriots defense is still pretty good defensively. I believe Kenneth Walker's might banged up, so they'll have to just rely on Geno. So I think the Patriots can muck up that game, keep it close, and sneak out a little upset there. So I think that would be my upset pick of the week there. I think it's a nice little number 3.5. So yeah, I like the Patriots. I wouldn't be shocked if they win that game.
Will you have any ideas?
I'm gonna say we get a tush push touchdown this week. We didn't get one last week. I think we're gonna get a tush push touchdown this week.
Well,
Wait,
in
who's Philly
Brazil,
playing? Who's Philly playing? Oh, they're playing the
We're
Falcons.
playing the
the
Falcons.
Falcons,
I
because
think we get.
in Brazil, the tush push looks very different. So,
I think that's why they failed. They got confused.
Yeah.
for me, um, Jaguars are favored by 3. I think that's how many touchdowns um, Trevor's gonna throw. I think Trevor has a 3 touchdown game.
Wow,
That's what
that's
I think.
bold.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's gonna be Trevor all day on this one. So that's what I'm thinking. I like that tush push. The tush push pick. Speaking of which, any chances Russell plays against the Denver?
No, but he will be fully suited. He's back. I'm ready, coach. I know I'm not in, but I'm ready.
Be in the game. Be in the game, coach. All right.
That man is something else.
Russell will be fully suited, but not in the game. Lou, you feel the same way? Fully suited, not in the game?
That's right. I think he does it. I think he has something in his contract where if he wears a uniform, he gets incentivized. Like he gets a game check. I don't know. You know,
Maybe it's for ad sponsor or something. Maybe
so
something we don't know.
he tell his kids, look, daddy's playing. He got a uniform on. He playing. Like, daddy really does play. Seriously, he does.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking he has to prove one to Sierra that he does have a job still. Um, and two, he needs to. He's a proud father, man. He needs to make sure his kids know that
He's
I
leading by
am actively.
example.
I
I mean,
am. I'm,
his son named he named his son Win.
and he's not, but
God,
and he's not. um, like, share, subscribe, tell us if we're right, tell us if we're wrong. Um, you know, I might have been wrong picking Tennessee and possibly jeopardizing a perfect week, but hey,
I think
I
I
do this for
jeopardized it with
entertainment.
the Giants, bro, so don't feel bad.
I jeopardize, but I do this we do this for entertainment. As all these things is for entertainment. Um, you know, bet responsibly. Um, I do. I'll talk about it next week. But shout out to all the other states now. When we first started this show, there was only like less than a handful, well, less than two
Yeah.
handfuls, less
Yeah.
than 10 fingers
I
worth of
think it was like
states.
10, 12
Now,
states.
yeah.
now it's a lot more states now. So, shout out to all these states, that are getting these gambling, these betting forms situated. Potentially all 50 will be there by the time we do 20, homie picks 2026. But but I mean, like, I love it, keep it going, and we're here for y'all. Like I said, like, share, subscribe, tell me right to wrong, and we will get back at you for week 3. Enjoy the games week 2. Enjoy that Jets Patriots game on Thursday. Be back at you. Peace.